audience. Episode 7, Tropic Trading Entertainment. This episode, we're just going to go over the headlines over here on Bloomberg Live and then have some conversations about current events and what's going on in the world. So enjoy.
Joe Best Bloomberg Surveillance, live every weekday.
All right, what we got going on here?
One of the very critical things is that a lot of young
The Asian markets are supposed to open up soon, huh?
Asian markets are open. Hong Kong and the Chinese markets are opening up in 30 minutes. Right now, we've got Australian markets are open. Australian and South Korean markets.
It's about the system, the values, the mission. You know, it's about
the bottom bar shows you the major indexes. The top news to the right gives you like just the general news going on.
You can see the top news: Trump ends Chevron's leasing contract with Venezuela, which
has a life of its own. It's
which all downstream effects. I guess he's ending it.
How was this created?
For immigration reasons, I guess.
Yeah,
Venezuela's not doing their fair of the illegal immigration, kind of rounding up.
So what I think he's trying to do is boost domestic production, and then use less international oil. And then, what's interesting is Venezuela's got big oil reserves, but their crude that they give to the U.S. is very thick, so you have to refine it like in multiple steps. Compared to the U.S. oil that you get in Texas, it's like a sweeter oil, so it's easier to refine and turn it into gasoline. Just an interesting thing.
They're kind of like similar to what they wanted to do with the pipeline coming in from Canada, huh?
Yeah.
Tar.
Sand. They call it like the sand tar.
That one that.
Yeah.
That one that got canceled right at the beginning of 2021. Yeah, it was essentially like dirty oil. They were gonna kind of refine it in Canada and then pump it all the way down to the Gulf.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That wasn't the Keystone, because Keystone is Alaska to.
I think it was like the Keystone 2 XL. Should we? I think, guys, I don't know if you can hear us over the TV shoot. We should like lower it a little bit. Maybe just like a couple of notches, so we don't have to, because it'll definitely pick that up. But so they can make sure audience can hear us loud and clear.
Yeah.
So, it seems like Taiwan's got the he's got the monopoly on microchips and semiconductors. So Trump's trying to get that manufacturing back to the U.S. and trying to get a foothold and have a competitive advantage against.
Oh yeah, Taiwan. That's the semiconductor capital. Yeah. What's that company that just came over?
SMCI.
SMCI, is it?
Yeah, they're having stock troubles with NVIDIA's GPUs.
Yeah.
On paper, and we'll sort of unpack the story for you in a moment. Really, still a really decent set of earnings. Was a solid outlook on the stock itself.
S&P futures already down.
Wow, already down.
Are they? Oh yeah.
Not a lot, but.
Within the Japanese story as well.
Now they were saying if NVIDIA didn't have good revenue results for their quarterly results, it would bring down the market. They beat expectations, so.
Well, they beat on revenue.
They beat on revenue.
They beat on revenue by like $2 billion, but.
Sort of soft session.
But my point is, they beat on revenue is why the S&P futures down tomorrow.
As far as the Chinese equity
That's
markets
good
in
news,
the
not
U.S.
bad
is
news.
concerned. 4% on Alibaba, JD.com. So these are the stocks we'll be tracking going into the
Silver, gold. Gold's been having a run recently. I think it went over 3,000 for a number of days. It's back down.
It hasn't been over 3,000.
But that's back. It's below. It's just about 2,900. So it's kind of leveled off
But
now.
as you can see, the futures in the early goings of
Michael Burry, he put a large stake in Alibaba
of course,
6 months ago.
massive
That's
rally
some
going
insight.
into the afternoon session.
Michael Burry, he put in money in JD and Alibaba.
Alibaba. I don't know if that's a good trade though, because like that's essentially a trade idea on the strength of the Chinese consumer,
Yeah.
because That's like essentially people buying off of Amazon or in our hemisphere, in the United States. So
Don't they do something with chips too, Alibaba?
It's like Amazon.
It's like Chinese Amazon.
Chinese Amazon, but they were ahead of Amazon AI and chip, leveraging the AI chips.
yeah.
I think Barry saw that. It was a value adding and a growth stock.
Yeah.
I think Alibaba is a competitive advantage because just the overall general more consumer, much more consumer.
Yeah, but the problem is you see how the margins, the profit margins are so low in that industry. Like you're not gonna make a lot of money selling soap on Alibaba.
Yeah, but the volume is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, huge volume.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge
Well,
volume.
how many people are in China? 4 billion.
Yeah, no, but not
Versus
A couple.
340.
Yeah, a couple. No, it's what, 1 point. No, it's like a billion. But here's the thing: they're all poor. How they're not.
Yeah.
One American middle class consumer is like equivalent of like 100 Chinese consumers. If you think about it.
There were some positives, the Blackwell numbers of
So yeah, rough few days in the market. Although today did have a higher high and higher low, so that's positive.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Should sort of reboot and excitement here.
See what happens. You guys see that today's candle? Higher high, higher low.
That sort of implies that the 1Q, there is still going to be supply constraints on Blackwell, so don't expect anything massive upside there. And there's also.
It looks like Nvidia missed on their gaming, -15%.
Oh, this is a great clip right here. Yeah, this is where that revenue is generated from, data center gaming. So they missed 15% in the gaming segment, and they doing well in the data
With
center.
crypto dropping significantly, do you think that has an effect on?
Oh, it's a
data
huge
center?
effect. With
Is that part of the gaming? Because they use the graphic.
yeah, that's the
card?
game. Yeah, that's part of the gaming because
Or it's more data center.
There was some positive, like I said.
it's a mix. It's what? It's a good point. It's
I think
probably,
it's data
It's
center.
probably more data center. Yeah. 'Cause
To process
mine
the
it.
blocks,
Yeah,
process
that's
the mining.
yeah. But here's the
Unless
thing.
you're like a consumer building your own rig.
Yeah.
We believe investors are actually waiting to hear.
I'm wondering if
Went down today? Oh, tomorrow.
yeah, it looks like they could have a big drop.
Fantastic. Kunjan, thank you so much for taking the time.
I'm wondering if AMD can take some of the market share for the gaming part from Nvidia.
Yeah.
Because I mean, isn't like in all the gaming consoles, like the PlayStations and Xbox, isn't that? I believe that's an AMD chip in there.
Is arguably the other compelling story within the industry here as well.
In what, PCs?
Not well. PCs is kind of either or. I feel like the high end PC gamers tend to go Nvidia,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's really nothing wrong with AMD. It's got the reputation of being more of like a budget card, but I believe the consoles are all AMD just because of the cheaper cost and when they want to, produce them at scale.
Yeah.
Underscores and speaks to the role that banks are expected to play. They're expected to be lending and helping the property prices. They're expected to have low.
See this is perfect. Chinese consumer Macau hotel occupancy data. See how if the occupancy levels are high, that means the consumer is doing well. So that's a trade idea where you could maybe short the. You could if the hotel data is really bad, that hotel occupancy data is bad, you short the Chinese
ETF. There's an ETF.
you short the Chinese retail ETF, or you short the Chinese hotel Chinese casino ETF, or it's got all the casinos in there.
You can get an ETF for that?
Oh yeah.
And that is this oak tree is coming in.
What was the data behind that? Macau.
Well, that's what Bloomberg's showing you here.
Coming out
is-
Thursday.
yeah, they're just showing you like the major. This is what Wall Street looks at. They'll look at these major indicators and then draw trade ideas off of this. So like hedge fund might be like, oh, let's go short. Let's go short the casino industry because the hotel occupancy is down, the Chinese consumer is not strong, and all the Chinese consumers, they go to Macau. It's like the Las Vegas of Asia.
Because of a stop work order off the back of the Trump administration. So that happens through to tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that, Dave.
Yep, a lot of debt today.
Evergrande, like that's a black swan. If they say, oh, Evergrande's actually completely bankrupt and it's the bad debt's trickling into other industries, that's when you know, like, you probably don't want to be long China.
Like they own like a bunch of the real estate, right?
Oh, all the
I thought they were shipping Evergrande, ocean shipping, right? They own the ships.
I mean,
They might not. Yeah, no, I think that it's real estate. It's a big real estate
Where are
conglomerate.
we right now?
Yeah, so Arkin was just talking about the southbound.
A lot of real estate in China though is owned by the owners. I think they like really, it's like a cultural thing. Like they're not into renting as much as the United States is in the West.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they take more pride in home ownership.
And this is not limited to just southbound investors, but a lot of the global funds are coming back into Chinese stocks as well, adding exposure.
This girl's a good-looking Asian girl.
She is. I think like there's like a delay or something, and the words are not matching.
Yeah, it's not matching her lips. Like I feel like it's almost like AI. She's an AI
And as
bot.
yesterday, I remember Tencent Tech closed.
It's the Matrix glitching on us here.
Alibaba, Tencent, Meituan, some of these tech giants that we talked about.
Yeah, it's
So
good.
today we'll be looking at how they do it, and so after the Nvidia earnings, that's going to be the.
What do you guys think of all the government jobs, all the people who are getting laid off in the government here? Do you think it's going to have a
I think
big?
short term.
I think it's going to have a huge effect on the consumer, right? It's
I think,
good.
yeah, it's like kind of like what's happening right now with the Doge and everything. It's kind of like, you know, when you're cleaning your room, first you take everything out from under the bed, out of the closet, and it looks messier and hectic at first, but then you reorganize everything, and eventually it all settles into place, and it's better. So I think we're gonna have a short-term period of a little, maybe rough in the markets, rough
Yeah.
with.
Almost has like a deflationary effect, right?
Slight short-term deflationary.
Which might be needed.
But you know what? You can reallocate. You need to reallocate resources somewhere else.
Well, they said the Washington D.C. market, everyone's putting their homes up for sale.
Yeah.
Record amount of homes.
Oh yeah, so that's why like short term, there's probably short term pain where those people are making pretty good money, 100K, 150K, 200K a year. They're not spending money, they're just putting their homes up for sale. So yeah, actually no, no, it just came out. The Michigan consumer oh my god, I can't even say it. What the heck's the saying? University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index tanked, went from 74 down to 64. And it tanked on expectations, current sentiment, and future sentiment.
Do you think it's because of government layoffs?
Government layoffs, people's expectations of tariffs, inflation expectations. So that was interesting to see.
I wonder how that would affect the Chinese people, the UF tariffs.
Yeah.
Well, they said Chinese.
Well, let's say there'll be less demand for their products. So.
Yeah, because the price would have to be higher, right? So they'd have to charge higher prices to the U.S. consumer, and then maybe the U.S. consumer decides to buy an American product or a Mexican product that's cheaper or on par with that price, right?
I mean, I guess eventually it might cause, if it works the way it's intended, eventually they'd have to drop some of their prices, so it may be deflationary.
Yeah.
From the point of view from China.
Oh yeah.
And cause economic hardship. I mean, because they're already paying peanuts over there, and they can't pay less. So.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no. What they could do is just the company just takes a hit in their balance sheet. Like they don't, they essentially keep the prices the same, labor's the same, the prices they're selling at keep the same, and then the company just takes a hit on their margins.
Yeah, well, probably initially, and then I don't know if it would get worse.
Then here's the thing: do you think they decide to do they decide to do QE to like cheapen their currency to make up for it? Do they maybe build a plant in the U.S. to avoid the tariffs? It's kind of interesting to see what their decision is. Or maybe they build a plant. They try. Oh, you know what? Trump doesn't have tariffs on rubber in Mexico. We're gonna make a deal with the Mexican government to build a plant there, and they'll export through the border to avoid the tariff. Or build in Canada and put them in, and do that. But you know what, Trump?
No, I think he's got a 25%.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so he's got it buttoned up.
Well, that's what China was doing. They were dumping cheap steel to Canada, and Canada was sending it
into the U.S. Yeah.
Just started trading over in Taiwan, and of course, about an hour back before that was in South Korea. NVIDIA, bottom of your screens. Yeah, the lack of conviction post earnings. Let's bring in Edward Chan, portfolio manager and senior investment analyst at Mirai.
Samsung is a South Korean company.
Yes.
How have you managed that exposure recently?
I would like to invest in Samsung, but you know what? There's no ticker. There's no
American foreign ticker.
Last night's result was pretty solid.
Didn't the Samsung, like the daughter that was supposed to inherit it all, she like died in her front yard or something?
No way.
Like she was in a Tesla. There's actually like video of it. Like she was in a Tesla and it just.
Oh, I think you're
it
right.
was like rolling
Yeah,
back in reverse or
Yeah, she
something,
went
and
into a lake.
she couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I don't think that was
crazy.
Samsung.
That wasn't Samsung.
No, I know what you're talking about. She passed out and she rolled right into a lake.
Okay, I mean, the China tech story, we have to talk about.
So late. It must have been
How
a late.
are you positioned going into that rally?
I think it was during the
And
day.
easy
She
money
must have
has
had it.
been
She must have
made.
passed
How
out.
are you thinking about, potentially adding exposure?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been overweight China since last year, so that has done pretty well.
When last year? Just to clarify.
Over the second half
Okay.
last year.
Yeah.
And I think that's done well for us. And then for DeepSeek, I think the key implication
DeepSeek.
Right? The expectation was that China's AI was sort of.
What was DeepSeek? It's supposed to be like a Chinese version of OpenAI.
Gronk.
I guess they made their approach to have their large language model is more efficient. And it costs like a quarter, 1/8 of what?
So that changes, I think, the narrative completely.
1/8 of OpenAI's cost. Instead of investing $5 billion, they invested $100 million and got the same result. Because they coded it differently with their large language models.
And build out all kinds of applications. So I think
Well, it's probably easier to capture the data in China since they've got they take so much in with like I don't know with their population. They kind of like micromanaged in a way. Like it's probably easier to tap into that data and then put it into an AI system compared to the U.S.
Do valuations?
Yeah, they just took a different coding approach, and it was literally 1/8 of the cost of OpenAI
So I
had to
think
invest in their
one
large
problem
language
is that
model.
the valuation is coming from such a low point, right? If you look at where China were in the past couple of years, right? Yeah, and the expectation was.
So we got the Hang Seng is like the Chinese stock market, and the Nikkei is the Japan.
Nikkei.
The Nikkei.
What's the Kospi?
Valuations, nothing too stretched.
The what?
Kospi, Kospi. Just for the audience to see here. To make a guess, I think that's the Korean index, the Kospi.
It's a good guess.
How does these innovations and the development that we talked about, things you could do on top of these very strong frontier models, could that bring earnings revision where you could really see the earnings
expectations move up, and I think that's really going to be key to how sustainable this rally would be.
Yeah, the Korea.
Korea? Okay.
South Korea. Right? North Korea is not.
Yeah, probably South Korea.
North Korea.
And so I think it's still
Yeah,
very
can you even have stocks in North Korea?
I don't think so.
Are they even allowed to know what a stock is?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do you see this as a tactical play still, or are we at the beginning of a structural shift in terms of Chinese equities, Chinese tech?
The Nikkei is pretty crazy with like I think they like just recently came back from the highs from like the 80s or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they printed a ton of money back then, and they basically it was like their Great Depression.
Yeah, what was the Asian financial crisis, Andrew? Wasn't that 88, 89?
No, that was in 97. That was like 96, 97. Yeah, that was when
But Japan's economy was a boom in the 80s because they were the first high technology, high software.
high
I think it was
software.
1990.
Well, I think they did the QE on steroids, just like the U.S. did after the Great Depression, 2009. But
How do you think
they
about
essentially just been
US
doing it
stepping up
constantly, and then
China against
thinking they're trying to get inflation into the system and stocks to go up, but it hasn't really worked.
Yeah. And they have an aging population.
And they have an aging, and that's the problem. They have an aging population, and then the growth just isn't there. So they're trying to make up for that growth by printing more money, and it's just like a kind of a difficult.
But to James's point, they were the first to kind of they were the first ones in high technology and software in Japan in the 80s and early 90s.
I think the companies and supply chains are becoming more and more resilient to these.
But if you talk to anybody during that time, their mindset was what kind of we had in 2012, where they're going to take us over, they're going to be the #1 economy, they're better than us, like they're going to take over the U.S. But look at them, they tanked. So, and then you can almost say the same thing now with China, where they didn't take us over. We have more the intellectual property, a more diversified economy, and so we're up on them, they're not up on us.
Look at these percentages: 0.0016, 0.02% intraday currency exchange. How does our audience even see value? Where's the value now? I just don't get it. Offshore Chinese renminbi. That's not the Hong Kong currency, is it? That's the China.
That's probably the China mainland.
Yeah.
But you see the U.S. dollar over that, so that's how.
Yeah, it's such a small percentage. You would think the tariffs at 25% would cause that to be a higher differential, right?
No, the currencies don't move with that much volatility. You're not gonna have big swings, and you're not gonna have big swings in currency.
But the currencies are pegged.
Yeah, they're pegged, and then they're pegged, and it takes a lot of liquidity, a big whale to come in and buy millions upon millions of the currency to even maybe swing a currency either up or down in a volatile way. But you want in a currency pair, you don't want volatility. You want a very stable currency pair that's good for trade.
Do I split this supply chain down from an investment perspective?
Yeah, so I think the supply chain decoupling or a lot of
it's connected to imports, exports. China's exporting to us, we're importing, and those trading companies that are trading this product for that product need that really secure, pegged, unvolatile currency exchange to figure out what's worth what, and then complete.
Yeah, but when Soros was trading in the 70s, right? Yeah. 60s, there was no.
There
was no pegged currency exchange.
There's no pegged currency. Yep. They were floating. They had floating exchange rates where. And you didn't have all the sophisticated computers where Soros could come in with, go long, go short 2 billion of the British pound.
He could be a market maker.
Yeah, and he could literally be moving the markets.
You gotta trade with like huge sizing.
And margin too. He's
He just margin.
massive amounts of
So it
margin.
was back then when he was trading Asian currencies, it was like today's crypto.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
big
yeah.
whales would sell all their Bitcoin and the price would drop 10%.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever did like a practice account or something on forex.com?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, audience, if you go to forex.com, Forex, you can set up a practice account and see what it would be like to basically trade the foreign currency. It's pretty crazy. You can make ridiculous money or lose ridiculous money in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Well, I think a healthier population is always going to be more productive. It's just that sometimes the political.
Do you think currency trades are tied to derivatives, or is it just underlying currency?
Because a workforce
Like,
that
you know what I
is
mean?
20 or
You
30%
think
down during a pandemic.
Like, how is the value of the currency determined? It's such an arbitrary.
It's not productive.
Yeah, it's interest rates. Biggest one is interest rates of that currency, what the central bank of that country is doing, current account deficit, how much debt is the country losing per month and then per year, so if you're like the US and you've got a current account deficit of 2 trillion a year, your currency essentially is getting devalued because you're essentially devaluing your currency because you have a really poor current account deficit.
That's good for the country's exports when they devalue currency.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject. But in general, it's interest rates.
Yeah.
So if you have higher interest rates, your currency is valued higher because you have essentially it forces people to hold your currency to gain that interest rate into your bank account. If they start lowering your country's currency's interest rate, the value of your currency goes down.
Yeah. So there's going to be an algorithm behind that with those factors that puts it all into one.
So nowadays, you probably have hedge funds running sophisticated computer models to scalp those currency differentials and you make those quick trades. But it's tough.
James scalped today.
I love scalping.
He scalped the Tesla trade today.
Oh, that was yesterday. Yeah, I did like a 2 or 3. I think it was 2 trades. Total of I made $730.
Wow.
Good day's worth of work with a couple of clicks of the mouse.
You said there's people going around the state slashing people's Tesla tires or something?
Oh my god, no, worse than that. They're spray painting swastikas and shit.
No way, really?
Dude, so many, every single Cybertruck now, if you have a Cybertruck, you drive it out in public, it's getting vandalized.
Where? You saw that? It's
right in Manhattan, dude, everywhere, in California. I've seen one Cybertruck, they just ripped it apart and set it on fire after graffitiing the whole thing. They're hitting dealerships. They'll go to Tesla dealership.
Oh, no way.
Spray paint F Elon on all the cars. One of them got shot up. There's bullet holes in the dealership.
Oh, I'm not gonna buy a
It's
Tesla.
FBI. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not buying a Tesla.
Even if you wanted one right now, people are afraid to buy a Tesla. So, this vandalism because I guess Elon got a little bit too involved with politics and they're taking it out on him, and it sucks because innocent people's cars, they got nothing to do with anything. They're all innocent people, but this is, guys, have your opinions, but geez, vandalism is not cool. We live in, United States of America is supposed to be a civilized country, first world country, and I don't know, man, it's going south.
Yeah, so audience, be careful buying a Tesla. It could be ransacked.
Yeah, and that's why it's down 20% in the last week.
Chinese market opens up in 3 minutes, so I expect once Bloomberg comes back online here, the next clip they're gonna jump right into the open. So right now it's
At about 30 minutes right now.
what time is it now? Eastern Standard.
Artificial intelligence will enable you and others to say we have enough information to know
So
exactly.
it's 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's probably 8:30 in the morning. It's probably 8:30 Asian Standard Time, whatever that time
Asian.
Which allows us to make better decisions on underwriting. It's also
Pacific Standard
Pacific,
Time?
no, it's
better in terms of
Pacific Standard would be California.
and what's using robotics and other AI.
You know, it's crazy. Hawaii's like 3 hours set back to California, which is crazy. So if it's
6 hours different.
Yeah.
if it's 9 p.m. if it's 9 p.m. here in the Northeast, it's
3 p.m. there.
That's crazy.
It's 3 p.m. in Hawaii.
I wonder if YouTube's gonna have a problem with showing the screen. Rumble won't, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't. I mean, it's not like it's. I don't know.
Good morning, welcome back. You are watching the China
David
Show.
Rubenstein
We are
Show.
counting down to the open of markets, less than a minute away here, Dave. And well,
1 minute away.
we came in today about whether or not the
So what are we looking for in the Chinese market, Andrew?
We're going to look for the top headlines to the right there, any consumer data, manufacturing data. Hopefully we can pick up on some leading indicators that we went over in our first 3 episodes.
2022? Yeah.
Chinese durable goods orders, Chinese industrial production numbers. So we'll see what comes out of here.
Lighter note. You know, a couple of months back, I put this, my annual sort of tongue-in-cheek bet with the markets out. When the Hang Seng was at 19,000, that if it got to
All right,
30,000,
20 seconds, boys.
if
19,
it closed
18.
above 30,000 by year end, I would get in a Princess Leia costume. And then our 24,000. So
Please don't.
Rally for the 24% from here. So I think
Please put it
Princess
on.
Leia stays in the closet for now.
I mean, she's looking good.
Although, if we do get to 31,000, that's
Look what we got here.
Right.
China 30-year yield.
4,000 level, we're close to that on the CSI 300. Nothing much to tell you about as far as the.
I want to see the U.S. yields go down,
PBOC injection
so the
yesterday.
stock market will start ripping.
Some liquidity. We did get a bounce in CGB futures. And going into this as well, the conversations broadened out to the banks, of course, given the reporting that Min will talk about in a moment here, that the banks are.
They should go down. If Trump lowers inflation, right? Get those yields down to 3%. They're sitting at like 4.5% right
During
now.
the Jinrong Weiji, there we go. That's the Mandarin for the day. The financial crisis back in 08. Very
Yeah.
quickly, Hong Kong is just
If he can keep inflation under control, lower oil price, then he can essentially cut interest rates because he's killing inflation by cutting oil, by lowering the oil price.
Yeah. We got to make sure that the oil price goes down.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We increase supply.
Yeah.
Then we got the luxury of pumping the brakes on the interest rates.
Yep. So get that Keystone XL pipeline revved up, build it, get the oil flowing. And I heard he was going to build a natural gas pipeline through New York, upper state New York, so it's going to lower. He wants to lower the New England energy prices, like utility rates and whatnot. So that'd be good.
Dude, the energy prices in New England are ridiculous.
Oh, did you see Massachusetts is like 32 cents per kilowatt hour? It's like the highest in the entire.
And the delivery charge too is going, like my whole life, the delivery charge used to be around the same as the supply charge. Now it's more.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I don't know how that is actually, how does the government allows that? It's that's not free markets. That's a monopoly. We've got one energy company and you can't change them. Like you can change the supplier, but it's kind of just like a scam because then the delivery charges actually go up too because they're like now they're gonna deliver from another supplier, but you can't change the actual the delivery.
Delivery, yeah.
You can't. So it's a scam. Like that's one thing. I'll put my socialist hat on. Like I feel like the government should just be in control of the utilities because they are anyway.
Yeah.
Why are we also allowing this company to make a profit for they're not really. I mean, the gas is. It's just gas flowing through a tube. It doesn't cost them more money if I use more.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
level of
Yeah.
that debt to really high levels as well. So they're sitting on very high levels.
They must be like in the background. They must be like shutting down coal plants and natural gas plants and replacing with greener energy, and that's what they make you pay for, rather than like them, the company biting the bullet. They're like, okay, we gotta charge the consumer. The state of Massachusetts wants them to go greener. We're shutting down the coal plant. We're shutting down the natural gas plant. We're gonna go solar and wind, and then the consumer's gonna pay for that. Essentially, pay for that via their rates to like, because the state of Massachusetts wants to go green.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. Everyone should start investing in their own solar.
Yeah.
If you want to put it on your roof, maybe in your backyard, I don't know.
Chinese equities tend to be pretty muted just before MPC, and they tend to decline maybe 1-2%.
I wonder if that's going to be a business that pops up, like
about a month after, as much as
for people who can't get it on their roof for whatever reason. You put like a solar shed or like just like a solar portable thing in your backyard.
Or even like,
Yeah.
I've heard like I know Tesla or Elon's got a company that does like solar shingles, solar roof panels, and that could be a hit. And then
Yeah, Tesla.
Nobody's done this before, but translucent windows that generate that are translucent and like the sun can come through, but they've got a thin filament of solar panel essentially in the window that captures that energy.
That's interesting. I wonder if there's any like adverse effects from that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that you need some type of material engineer to come in and develop that. But I think that could be a future business. They've talked about putting solar panels on cars or solar like material that concaves into the car's body, but there's just not enough. There's just not enough square footage for it to make sense to generate.
You would need to like fold it out or something.
Yeah, fold it out.
Yeah, they get some good-looking people in this.
They sure do.
Chinese Bloomberg.
They pick the right people. They look sophisticated and they talk sophisticated.
Put a report out entitled "Taking the Glass Half Full."
Yeah, you gotta keep the audience awake.
This market rally, which has gone up quite substantially already.
Yeah, so if we look at the upcoming events,
Then we got Princess Leia, Mr. Princess Leia over here.
Mr. Princess Leia.
He wants to wear a
have seen a lot of
random.
discussions about the size of fiscal.
Yeah, what was he saying? He was like, he was getting him for Christmas and he was dressed up.
If he loses a bet or something, he's gonna dress up like Princess Leia. I wonder what outfit he's talking about. The Jabba the Hutt slave one?
He role plays with his wife, with Princess Leia.
All right, getting off topic here.
We're still waiting for them to cut to the Chinese Open here. They're still on the Australian and Hong Kong.
What do you mean? Isn't that it right there?
Isn't it? Usually they'll do like they'll cut right to it and stop showing some of the Korean indexes.
And that's always a little bit of a clue to how the American market might open up the next day, right? How the Asian markets are doing overseas.
Yep, exactly. Yep, Asian futures, how that plays out, and that's going to determine.
And now we got crypto too, 24/7. Bitcoin.
That's crazy how crypto's traded 24/7. Why wouldn't the stock markets be open 24/7?
I think that's what they were shooting for. They want the stock market to be traded 24/7.
Like
I think where something just happened like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They have overnight trading now.
Yeah, they do have
Really?
trading.
Yeah.
Extended trading.
I thought it was tripping. I was like, I looked at my computer. I'm like, on Webull. I'm like, wait, what? What the hell's going on? Overnight trading.
Yeah, they should be able to do that like easily because it's all computer.
It used to. Well, after hours used to stop at 8 p.m. Eastern, but now they keep going. It's called. So after hours ends at 8 o'clock, and then it's called overnight.
Yeah.
And Tesla is still crashing. It should have just shorted Tesla.
Actually, here's the thing: if everybody's vandalizing the Teslas, why don't the Tesla owner maybe go get a replacement vehicle, buy another one, and then increases sales?
Well, supposedly, so right now, Tesla is replacing everything. Like if you get a window busted in, they just replace it free of charge.
Yeah. Like under warranty.
I mean, I guess you could argue that it was Elon's fault, but I mean, not really. The guy, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was the whole salute thing, which at first I was like, is he trolling? But now I'm kind of, I really think it was some kind of just, I mean, he's on the autism spectrum. I think it was just, he got excited and it was an awkward gesture, and I honestly think that's what it was. And of course, you know, the fake news has got to put their political spin on it, and unfortunately,
yeah, everything's gonna be politicized.
Here we are.
Oh, China's got a 5% GDP injury. They were averaging 7 to 10, not like for the longest
Yeah, that's
time.
good. Well, that's gonna be a yearly. That's a yearly GDP number.
We're at 2.5
year over
maybe.
year.
In terms of the expansion of those programs.
We're at 40 minutes. Should we just keep it rolling? See who's hanging out here
Let's,
from the viewers?
Let's do another 5 minutes.
Let's do another
guys.
5 minutes. We'll wrap it up for the audience. But this is great. I just show the viewers here some great financial news. This is great to possibly develop trade ideas off of. Determine if your leading indicators and some of the data you see on your end matches what the news is showing, and then this is great to give you a kind of macro view of what's going on in the world.
So for the audience, like if the Chinese futures or the Chinese market's up, it's a good indicator that the U.S. market's going to be up, right, Andrew?
Yeah, it's a good.
Look at the indexes.
Yeah. If the Chinese market closes in the green, most likely you'll see U.S. S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow futures up, which is usually a good sign. But you have to take into consideration usually in a bear market, right? The stock market, U.S. starts off strong and then closes weak. In a bull market, it starts off weak and then closes the day strong. So you have to be aware of that. So if you do see good Chinese futures, Chinese stock market close, U.S. futures are up, and then U.S. starts high, that doesn't mean it's going to end the day strong. There could be some rumblings underneath the economy.
Becomes relatively, more realistic or less aggressive compared to before. And also, I think.
How do you analyze that? China may announce general fiscal deficit ratio of 4% of GDP.
The PBOC will plan out is
fiscal is quarterly, right?
Fiscal
deficit ratio.
It could be monthly or quarterly.
Market has been relatively high. And
so they essentially what the countries do now, they have so much debt that they just determine debt versus GDP, that debt versus GDP ratio. I think the U.S. is at like 90% or 102% of GDP debt, which is not good. So what these countries do, they need to spend to essentially get GDP up, so they measure debt against GDP. So they try to hit a certain mark. Oh, we only want to spend this amount, so our debt to GDP is 90%. So then our government bonds stay AAA rated. That's so then we don't go off a fiscal cliff into oblivion.
Fiscal means yearly.
Yeah, it could be yearly. Yeah, it could be quarterly, yearly.
Whatever their period
That's
is.
the current account deficit. That's essentially what you're looking at. How much money are you losing month to month or quarter to quarter?
And the U.S. was losing $2 trillion.
U.S. is losing $2 trillion. There's a current account deficit, $2 trillion a year with current debt amount of 32 trillion. So every year it goes up 2 trillion.
I think our debt was above 100% of GDP.
how
Right? It
Check,
can't be
uh,
150.
Check
There's some
check
issue.
trading economics. Go into tradingeconomics.com and go hit US and hit like current account deficit data. It'll show you the GDP the debt to GDP ratio.
Let's see. More else.
Let's find it for the audience.
Let's find it for the audience and we'll wrap up this week's episode. Countries, US, right?
What's your guess? I'm saying it's like
Actually, I plug it in.
105%.
Let me plug it right into here. Hold on a second.
Plug it
Audience,
in, plug it in.
We're gonna go right to
Gonna switch it up.
what we were just talking about. We're on one of my favorite websites. We've got tradingeconomics.com. We're gonna go into countries, right? Countries, we're gonna go United States. We're gonna go to, this is great stuff. We're gonna go to
GDP,
We're
right?
gonna check GDP. It could be within trade as well. So we got the GDP numbers here, right? GDP. We're looking for that current account deficit or debt to GDP here. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna see if that is. We're gonna see if
Go to
that,
trade. It's in trade.
we're gonna see if that is above or lower than 100%.
I think there's a threshold. If you're above 150%, it's impossible.
Okay, so here we go. Balance of trade, we're at negative 90. We're at
98 billion.
98. So this is at not
Yeah, it's 98 billion.
98% balance of trade. This is
Oh,
not.
sorry, to our GDP.
Yeah. Current account is 33.1 trillion. It's measured in billions, but this equates to 3.1 trillion.
Yeah.
This is not good. This is what Trump's trying to take care of.
Wow.
Current-
3.1
We
trillion.
gotta get the debt down, because if you get the debt down,
yeah.
that helps with inflation because, we essentially pay the debt off via inflation effectively.
Yeah.
And we don't have to keep on taking out new notes from the Federal Reserve.
Correct. Yep.
Exactly. So this is just more data here. Yeah, I don't know what the terrorism index is, but it's hopefully we're low on that one, right?
Those Tesla haters are gonna bring it up.
Okay, but this is a great website. This is great to look at exports, imports, external debt, and whatnot, capital flows, direct investment. So in the future, let's see over the next months, number of years, that this balance of trade goes less negative and possibly zeroes out to zero, which would be most beneficial to the U.S. Will be a lot less inflation, a better economy in general, better for your grandkids. Same with the current account deficit. So with that said, audience, we're gonna wrap it up here. Join us on our next episode, episode 8, and I hope you learned something new today.
See ya.
1